There is something that may surprise you. A powder once honored as the drink of the gods by the ancient Maya and Aztec is now being recognized by modern science as a natural way to protect blood vessels and lower the risk of stroke. I am talking about dark cacao, rich in flavanols. Not the sweet hot chocolate we are used to, but the pure form, low in sugar, filled with valuable compounds that help keep blood vessels flexible and the brain strong. In today's video, I, as your doctor and partner in health, will guide you through 5 key points. The nutritional treasure hidden inside dark cacao, the way it protects blood vessels, the specific benefits for the brain, the scientific evidence that supports these claims, and finally, how you can safely include it in your daily routine. And before we begin, if you want to keep your blood vessels resilient and your mind sharp well into your 60s and beyond, go ahead and like this video, share it with friends your age, and make sure to subscribe so you will not miss the next helpful health tips. When people hear cacao, many immediately think of chocolate-rich, sweet, and often mixed with condensed milk or refined sugar. But hidden behind that indulgence, pure cacao is actually a true nutritional treasure, especially when you choose varieties high in flavanols. Flavanols are a group of natural polyphenols also found in green tea and grapes. What makes cacao stand out is its exceptionally high flavanol content, particularly when it is minimally processed. These flavanols are the key that turns cacao into a stroke prevention drink, not just a pleasant taste. Research has shown that flavanols stimulate the body to produce nitric oxide, a vital signaling molecule that helps blood vessels relax and improves circulation. Cacao also contains theobromine, a close relative of caffeine, but gentler in effect. Theobromine supports circulation and promotes alertness and focus without causing the jittery heart palpitations often linked with coffee. This is one reason many people over 60 who find coffee too harsh may feel more comfortable with pure cacao. On top of that, cacao is rich in minerals such as magnesium, iron, and zinc. Magnesium helps muscles relax, supports sleep, and keeps the heartbeat steady areas that often become more fragile with age. Iron is essential for producing red blood cells, which carry oxygen to the brain and heart. Zinc strengthens the immune system and shields the body against inflammation, which is itself a hidden risk factor for vascular disease. Another reason dark cacao is worth your attention is that it contains almost no sugar if you choose the right type. The popular hot chocolate from a calf is usually loaded with sugar and cream, which completely hide the benefits of flavanols. For those over 60, excess sugar only raises the risks of diabetes, high cholesterol, and hypertension, all of which are contributors to stroke. That is why the focus should not be simply on drinking cacao, but specifically on drinking dark cacao, rich in flavanols, with little or no sugar. You could think of flavanols and cacao as a team of road workers quietly maintaining your inner highways. Every day, they help clear and keep the blood vessels open and elastic. Meanwhile, theobromine is like a gentle breeze, helping your mind stay clear and your body alert. And minerals like magnesium, iron, and zinc act as the building materials that keep the foundation of your health strong over time. This is why, when we talk about cacao, we should not see it only as a sweet treat. Instead, we should recognize it as a source of powerful nutrients. If you choose the right form and use it wisely, it can become an important ally in protecting your brain and blood vessels after 60. Have you noticed that simple activities that once felt effortless, like walking to the market, climbing a few stairs, or pushing a shopping cart, now leave you more breathless, forcing you to stop and rest? This is not simply old age catching up, as many might assume. One of the deeper reasons is that the blood vessels have lost some of their natural elasticity, and the endothelium, the inner lining of those vessels, no longer works as smoothly as before. The endothelium is a thin layer of cells that acts like a traffic controller for blood flow. When it is healthy, the vessels know when to widen and when to tighten, keeping circulation steady. But after 60, the endothelium becomes more vulnerable to inflammation and damage from free radicals. As a result, Vessels stiffen, respond less flexibly, and the brain and heart no longer receive a steady supply of blood and oxygen. That is when fatigue, dizziness, and even stroke risk begin to appear. This is where the flavanols in cacao step in. Drinking cacao rich in flavanols prompts the body to produce more nitric oxide, a signaling molecule that plays a crucial role in keeping vessels relaxed. You can imagine nitric oxide as a worker opening new lanes on a highway, allowing the traffic, your blood, to flow more freely. With that, blood pressure comes down gently, more oxygen reaches the brain, and you are less likely to feel out of breath or tired when moving about. Clinical studies have confirmed this effect. Older adults who drank flavanol-rich cacao for just a few weeks showed measurable improvements in what doctors call flow-mediated dilation, a test that reflects how well blood vessels expand. This is not just a dry statistic. It means their vessels were more flexible, their endothelium healthier. For someone over 60, that could translate to being able to walk a few more blocks without stopping or climbing a flight of stairs without needing a long rest. Beyond relaxation, flavanols also protect the endothelium from oxidative stress and the damage caused by free radicals. Think of your blood vessels as metal pipes. Over time, rust builds up, narrowing and weakening the pipe. Free radicals are like that rust inside your body. Flavanols act like an anti-rust coating, neutralizing free radicals and keeping vessel walls smooth and resilient. For older adults, this is vital because it slows down the hardening of arteries, the leading driver of high blood pressure and stroke. Flavanols also bring indirect benefits by improving insulin sensitivity and reducing systemic inflammation, both of which directly affect endothelial health. When inflammation decreases, the endothelium has a healthier environment in which to function. So flavanols do not just help at one point, they support the entire traffic system of your body. It is important to remember that these benefits do not appear overnight after a single cup of cacao. The endothelium needs steady care to recover. Experts have found that with daily or even several times a week intake of flavanol-rich cacao within 4 to 8 weeks, vessel function improves noticeably. This is a long-term strategy, much like exercise for your blood vessels. Imagine if, each morning, instead of reaching for a sugary coffee or sweetened milk tea, you prepared a cup of pure dark cacao with little or no sugar. Over the course of a few months, your blood vessels would be exercised every day. Your steps would feel lighter, trips to the market less tiring, and walks more enjoyable. This is not magic. It is simply the natural result of nurturing your endothelium from within. Of course, no single habit is a perfect solution on its own. Flavanols in cacao work best alongside a healthy lifestyle, plenty of vegetables, light physical activity, and adequate sleep. But adding a cup of dark cacao to your diet is a simple, practical way to support the endothelium, and through that, to protect your brain and your heart. Once we reach our 60s, many quiet changes take place inside the brain. The small vessels that nourish brain tissue gradually lose their elasticity, their walls stiffen, and cholesterol plaques begin to build up. These changes often bring no clear warning signs at first, yet they slowly reduce the flow of blood and oxygen to the brain. Over time, this hidden process can weaken memory, make it harder to concentrate, and increase the risk of stroke. In this situation, flavanols from dark cacao act as a valuable ally. Unlike ordinary nutrients, flavanols work directly on brain circulation. Once in the body, they encourage the production of nitric oxide, a signaling molecule that relaxes the walls of brain vessels. As the vessels widen, oxygen and nutrients travel more easily to nerve cells. This is critical because neurons consume energy constantly and cannot store oxygen for long. But cacao's benefits go beyond simply opening the pipes. Research shows that flavanols also reduce oxidative stress in vessel walls, protecting the endothelium from free radical damage. This means brain vessels are not only widened in the short term, but also safeguarded over the long term against inflammation and hardening, two direct triggers of reduced brain blood flow and stroke. One study using MRI scans found that after several weeks of flavanol-rich cacao, older adults showed a clear increase in cerebral blood flow, particularly in the hippocampus, the area that controls memory. This is powerful evidence that cacao affects not just circulation in general, but directly supports the brain regions tied to memory and cognition. With improved circulation, nerve cells function more steadily, which people notice as sharper thinking, fewer dizzy spells, and less forgetfulness. Cacao also helps regulate blood pressure. For older adults, high blood pressure constantly stresses brain vessels, making them prone to rupture. Flavanols gently lower blood pressure in a natural way, easing the burden on vessels and slowing down vascular aging. This is a double benefit: better blood flow to the brain and less strain on the vessel walls. In daily life, the effects can feel very practical. Someone who keeps the habit of drinking flavanol-rich cacao a few times a week may notice less lightheadedness when standing up, more endurance when walking, and clearer conversations. These small improvements add up, enhancing quality of life and giving older adults more confidence in their everyday routines. Even more important, this is a form of prevention. Stroke often strikes suddenly, leaving lasting damage to memory, movement, and sometimes life itself. Building healthy brain circulation early through simple habits such as drinking dark cacao rich in flavanols is a way of creating a protective shield before trouble appears. Cacao is not a magic cure, but it is one of the important pieces in the larger puzzle of brain health after 60. When paired with a balanced diet, light exercise, and regular blood pressure checks, flavanols from cacao become a natural tool to help keep the mind sharp and lower the risk of stroke. When we talk about any health benefit, what truly matters is not word of mouth, but solid scientific evidence. With flavanol-rich cacao, we are fortunate that numerous well-designed studies have already been carried out, covering a wide range of participants from healthy young adults to older adults with cardiovascular conditions. And the results are quite consistent. Flavanols in cacao can improve blood vessel function, lower blood pressure, and support brain health. One of the most notable studies comes from Harvard University. Researchers there tested hundreds of older adults, giving some of them flavanol-rich cacao for several weeks. Using ultrasound to measure blood vessel function, they found a clear improvement in a marker called flow-mediated dilation, or FMD. The higher this number, the more flexible and healthier the vessels are. Interestingly, the group that received high flavanol cacao showed far better results than those given low flavanol cacao, making it clear that the benefits came specifically from flavanols, not from cacao in general. The benefits were not limited to circulation alone. Studies using functional MRI scans also showed positive changes in brain blood flow. Among older adults, after 4 to 6 weeks of flavanol-rich cacao, blood flow increased in the hippocampus, the very part of the brain responsible for memory. This helps explain why many participants reported feeling more alert, with sharper short-term memory and better focus. Beyond individual trials, meta-analyses combining data from dozens of studies have confirmed these effects. On average, flavanols from cacao lowered systolic blood pressure by about 4 to 5 millimeters of mercury. That may sound small, but in medicine, even a few millimeters make a significant difference in reducing population-wide risk of stroke and heart disease. And this drop in blood pressure came alongside better endothelial function, meaning vessels were not only under less pressure, but also healthier overall. Some longer-term studies even suggest that people who consistently eat diets rich in flavanols, including dark cacao, have fewer cardiovascular events. While cacao alone cannot be considered a cure or guarantee of prevention, it clearly plays an important supportive role alongside a balanced diet and regular physical activity. It is important to understand, though, that not every cacao product on the market provides these benefits. Processing, such as roasting or alkalizing, often strips away much of the flavanol content. This is why studies usually use specially prepared cacao, standardized for flavanol content, or minimally processed cacao powder. Consumers need to recognize the difference between true flavanol-rich cacao and the common sweetened hot chocolate mixes loaded with sugar and cream. Some people worry that cacao might cause insomnia or a racing heartbeat. In reality, dark cacao contains much lower amounts of caffeine and theobromine compared to coffee. Studies have not found significant side effects when it is consumed in moderate amounts, even in older adults. In fact, some people find they sleep more soundly after a warm cup of cacao in the evening. Thanks to the gentle combination of flavanols and a small amount of natural tryptophan, taken together, science paints a fairly clear picture. Flavanol-rich cacao is not a miracle cure, but it does have measurable biological effects documented by modern imaging and clinical trials. From vascular function and blood pressure to brain circulation and cognitive ability, the evidence shows cacao can contribute to improvement. For those over 60, these are exactly the areas of greatest concern, keeping the mind sharp and lowering the risk of stroke. Now that we understand the scientific benefits of dark cacao rich in flavanols, the real question is how to make it part of everyday life in a way that is both safe and easy to maintain. Knowledge alone is not enough. Only when it becomes a habit can the brain and blood vessels truly benefit. The first step is choosing the right kind of cacao. Not every hot chocolate mix on the supermarket shelf is high in flavanols. In fact, heavy roasting and alkalizing the processes used to reduce bitterness often strip away much of the valuable flavanols. Instead, adults over 60 should look for pure cacao powder, minimally processed, or products that clearly list flavanol content on the label. In the United States, some brands now offer high flavanol cacao that has been standardized specifically for health purposes rather than just for taste. As for preparation, the simplest recipe is to stir a teaspoon of cacao powder about 5 grams into warm water. You can add a splash of unsweetened plant milk, like almond or oat, for smoothness without losing the health benefit. It is best to avoid adding white sugar or heavy cream, as they counteract the protective effect on the heart and vessels. If you like a little sweetness, a touch of honey or stevia is a safer choice. Most studies suggest that 3 to 5 servings per week are both safe and effective. You do not need to drink it every day. Consistency is more important than quantity. A small cup in the morning as a coffee alternative, or a warm cup before bedtime, works well. Many people even find that this habit not only helps with alertness, but also creates a gentle sense of relaxation that makes sleep easier. For those with underlying health conditions, some extra care is wise. If you are being treated for high blood pressure, diabetes, or are taking blood thinners, consult your doctor before adding cacao to your diet. Cacao is safe for most older adults, but individual situations can differ. And if you have a history of allergies to cacao or nuts, it is best to start with a very small amount. One more advantage is how versatile cacao can be in the kitchen. Besides drinking it, you can mix the powder into plain yogurt, sprinkle it over your morning oatmeal, or blend it into a fruit smoothie with banana or berries. This not only adds variety to the flavor, but also brings in fiber, vitamins, and minerals from other foods. The brain needs more than flavanols alone. It thrives on a balanced mix of nutrients. Some wonder if flavanol supplements can replace cacao. The answer is yes, but they should not be your first choice. Whole foods like pure cacao powder naturally carry other nutrients, magnesium, iron, and polyphenols that work together in ways a pill cannot fully capture. And beyond nutrition, drinking a warm cup of cacao can become a comforting ritual, a small daily moment of calm for both body and mind. The key point is to see flavanol-rich cacao as one piece of a healthy lifestyle. It cannot replace exercise, vegetables, or quality sleep, but when combined with those habits, it becomes a powerful ally in lowering stroke risk, keeping the mind sharp, and making the later years of life more fulfilling. If you have never tried it, Start simple. Buy a bag of pure cacao powder. Prepare a small cup in the morning. Sip it slowly, and let the slightly bitter but warming taste settle in. After a few weeks, you may notice small but welcome changes in energy, focus, and even mood. That is the power of a modest habit repeated with consistency. We have just walked together through an eye-opening journey exploring dark cacao rich in flavanols and its powerful impact on the brain after 60. From the very beginning, we saw that cacao is not simply a powder for mixing into drinks. It carries within it a treasure of nutrition, with flavanols, theobromine, magnesium, and other valuable polyphenols. We then uncovered how flavanols stimulate the production of nitric oxide, improve endothelial function, and keep blood vessels flexible and resilient. When vessels are healthy, the brain receives more oxygen, nerve cells are better nourished, memory and focus are protected, and the risk of stroke is lowered. These are not just theories. They have been confirmed by scientific evidence from brain imaging studies to large clinical trials showing that flavanol-rich cacao truly brings measurable benefits for vascular and brain health. Just as important is knowing how to put this knowledge into practice, choosing minimally processed cacao that retains flavanols, preparing it wisely, keeping to safe and steady amounts, and paying attention to underlying health conditions. All of these steps can turn a simple cup of cacao into a meaningful daily habit. Put the pieces together, and the picture becomes clear with one small but consistent practice. You can strengthen your vessels, protect your mind, and reduce the fear of stroke as you move through the later years of life. If you found today's message helpful, please click like, share it with friends your age, and subscribe so you will not miss the next health insights. A cup of flavanol-rich cacao is more than just a drink. It can be a small daily gift you give to your own health and memory.